Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Americans are quitting their jobs nationwide, and this is going to change unemployment forever. Welcome to Ignition Time, everyone. Let's start with this headline on your screen from the Washington Post. A record number of workers are quitting their jobs, and they're empowered by new leverage. In fact, 4.3 million individuals quit their jobs in the month of August. This represents nearly 3% of the workforce. Let's start with this chart on your screen from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and Americans are quitting their jobs at the highest rates on record. This is a rate at which employees are voluntarily quitting. Now, let's go back right to the beginning when this data was captured in January 2001. And you can start to see as we move from 2001 to 2002. And then when we come to that gray area in the middle, which is the Great Recession in 2008, you'll start to see that the rate at which Americans were quitting actually declined during the Great Recession. Why? Because people wanted to go back to their jobs. People said, hey, I need a job, I need to work. But now, as a direct result of this pandemic, let's move to the right side of this chart and you'll see that gray vertical line. That is when the pandemic hit us. That is when the rate at which Americans were quitting was down to 1.9%, but now it's up to 2.9%, the highest it's ever been. So the number of people quitting their jobs has actually surged to record highs, and there are a combination of factors here. Mainly, Americans are sensing a lot of opportunity and better pay in jobs that give them flexibility, that give them dignity of work, and jobs that give them essentially what they want, which is the ability to essentially make their own schedule. So what is the bottom line, folks, and how does this impact unemployment? First, let's look at some numbers. 4.3 million individuals actually quit their jobs in the month of August. This is about 3% of the workforce, according to new data from the Labor Department. Now, this number is actually up from the previous record that was set in April this year. And I did do another video about that, calling that the Great Resignation, which represented 4 million people quitting. Folks, the American economy is changing and has forever changed. Now, why is this happening? A lot of our fellow Americans are less willing to endure inconvenient hours and low wages. They are instead quitting to find better opportunities. Now, there were 10.4 million job openings in the country at the end of August, which, by the way, was down slightly from July's record high, which was 11.1 million. But again, there are over 10 million job openings at this moment in time. Now, this gives workers a significant amount of leverage because you have the opportunity to find more than one job, and therefore you're likely to find the job that works best for you. Now, normally there is some churn in the labor market, but this new economic reality, if you will, creates a new level of unpredictability and a lot of headaches for employers and a lot of opportunities for workers. At the end of the day, both workers and employers are reassessing their approaches as the pandemic is evolving, as it is slowly getting behind us. But the problem is the Delta variant is still causing problems. Now, many businesses are struggling to hire employees, to find qualifying candidates for open positions. And some businesses have been successful by offering more pay and more compensation. Now, on the other hand, there are some workers, particularly those who lost jobs early in the pandemic in travel, leisure, entertainment, and hospitality. Some workers may need to retrain their skills and pursue new careers, or maybe even start their own businesses. Many of these workers have decided that low-paying jobs or jobs that require a long commute, jobs that require exposure to other individuals and potential safety concerns. What if you want to wear a mask? What if you want to be around vaccinated individuals, but your customers don't care about masks, don't care about vaccines? Well, you're less likely to want to work in that kind of an environment. So you're more likely to want to reevaluate not only your options, but also pursue new skills. And that could be what is happening. That is why people are not getting back into the workforce. In fact, these things are indeed already happening. Data from the Labor Department shows that about 892,000 workers in restaurants, bars, and hotels quit in the month of August, and 721,000 workers in retail quit. In addition, 706,000 employees in professional business services and 534,000 workers in healthcare and social assistance also left their jobs. Now, workers are quitting at the highest levels on record going back all the way to 2001, which is a chart I showed you at the beginning of this episode of Ignition Time. But here's something that really stands out: the speed at which low wage earners quit is something that is pretty unbelievable. In fact, 2 out of 5 workers, okay, that's 38%, 2 out of 5 workers who quit in August worked in retail or in restaurants or in hotels. Now, people in manufacturing were not quitting at the same rate. They were at 2.5%, but more people were quitting in manufacturing also than ever before. Now, what is happening is factories are trying to poach one another's workers and increase production because supply chain issues are indeed emerging in the economy. Here's another chart from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which shows you that many industries are seeing employees quit at record rates. Here's the rate at which employees are voluntarily quitting: restaurants, bars, and hotels, 6.8% in August 2021, a pre-pandemic record. Retail trade, 4.7% in 2021. Arts, entertainment, and recreation, 3.7% in August 2021. Professional and business services, 3.4% in August. Healthcare and social assistance, 2.7% of all individuals quit. And manufacturing, 2.5% of all individuals quit. Now, Neil Bunker, who's the economist at the job site Indeed, said that the numbers are a reflection of all the options that our fellow Americans have in this current economic climate. There are more jobs available than there are workers available, and people are now reevaluating what they want to do. This is a new reality that we are facing in our country right now. In fact, the high level of people quitting was probably due in large part to people leaving jobs to take other positions, although we don't yet know which kind of jobs people are quitting and where they're ending up. Here's what Bunker said. This is important. This really elevated rate of people quitting their job is a sign that workers have lots of confidence and they have relatively stronger bargaining positions than they've had in the past. There's lots of demand and people are seizing that opportunity and quitting their job. That is indeed what is happening, folks. Now, I want our viewers and subscribers to know that this pandemic has been extremely disruptive, not only for workers, but also for employers. Now, job offers were more consistent before the pandemic, but now employers are facing new challenges, such as how they can deal with remote and flexible work, compensation and bonus packages, giving workers a broader range of positions to choose from. This is really important because, again, this is creating a disruption in the workforce. Now, I want you to let me know in the comment section below whether you, as a worker, are you encountering more opportunities or are you encountering less opportunities? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Now, the data from the Labor Department provides some surprising new information, which is that workers now have more choices as many employers say they are struggling to find the right staff. The labor market is still down about 5 million jobs from where it was prior to the pandemic, which means 5 million fewer Americans are working right now. And that is a major problem for the economy. Now, I mentioned travel, leisure, entertainment, and hospitality are the industries impacted. Many employers are saying they have a challenge hiring workers, and Republican officials in many states tried to address the issue by stopping federal unemployment benefits prematurely, but those cuts have done little to get individuals back to work. In fact, I did do an episode on Ignition Time based on the latest data, the September jobs report, which shows only 194,000 jobs were added, despite the record number of job openings. In the end, folks, I believe that if we pay people well, if we treat them well, if there's dignity of labor, if there are flexible work schedules, and of course, as long as people are productive, then we allow employees to live the American dream. We allow employers to achieve higher productivity and serve their customers better. But if employers are paying next to nothing and expecting employees to work in dead-end jobs in awful conditions with horrible work schedules that puts them at risk from a safety standpoint, then I think this hiring problem, this recruitment problem, this great resignation will continue, because this is a re-engineering of the American economy. Thank you so much for watching. Please click like, please click subscribe, please enable notifications. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.